Professor Thia, thank you so much for being here. If you could, let's open it up a little bit and talk about, Professor John O'Halloran talked about KPMG as a sponsor, but there's some realities. The speakers for KPMG today won't be with us. Why is that?
Unfortunately, KPMG can't join us today. They are our main sponsors, and we're very grateful for that, but they did have an event in their offices yesterday. They've decided not to come today. We understand that completely, but I really want to express my thanks to Barry O'Connell in particular, managing partner of KPMG. He's also a member of the advisory board of the business school, is a great supporter of Cubs, and he's really disappointed he can't be here.
I know. In fact, I had an opportunity, I've known him for years, I had an opportunity to interview him in advance of this before there was the shutdown and the situation at KPMG yesterday. And his heart and his commitment is so clear about what this business school can do and is doing and will continue to do for students through its programs. Could we talk a little bit about the programs that you're currently offering?
Sure. So we have programs at two levels, at the undergraduate level that many of our students here are studying, but that our second level students would be interested in, and at the postgraduate level as well. So at the undergraduate level, a range of what you might call general business programs, like the Bachelor of Commerce, through to business information systems, food marketing and entrepreneurship, accounting, finance, I can go on and on.
Excellent.
But a broad range of programs, Gina.
And you studied food business when you were in school, is that right?
I kind of.
Tell me what you studied.
I studied economics and finance, and then I did a master's in another business school that we won't mention.
No. There is no other school but UCC for purposes of today.
In food business. So I'm specialized in the area of food economics, particularly agricultural economics.
And then what led you to get from business back into academia? What's your own path?
So the first job I took when I graduated from college was a graduate program in one of the banks, and I did that for a couple of years. It was really useful, really enjoyable. I got great experience. But then I applied for a job in research, doing economic research for Teagasc, which is the Agriculture and Food Development Authority of Ireland.
Okay.
And I worked with Teagasc then for many years as a research economist, starting off as a contract researcher. I did a PhD part-time, became permanent, moved up to the
Wait, stop for a second. Stop for a second. See, this is what happens to grown-ups. We get into this really quick description of all the things that we did, and you're sitting back there as a student going, wait a minute, you were working a full-time job and you did a part-time PhD?
Yes. Well, I was working in research, so they're kind of complementary.
So, okay, but that is an achievement. Thia, how did you do that? Were you juggling personal life at the same time? And let's just step back for a second and explain time management at that point in your life.
Okay, so I was working in research, and to progress in research, I realized I needed to have a PhD.
Okay.
So I decided to take that on a part-time basis. I tried to align it as much as possible with my research appointment so that the work I was doing for research on a day job contributed to the PhD. I did that for a period of about 3 years. And
did the organization help you in the financing of that?
They did.
Okay,
yes.
And that's something that is absolutely something people should consider and avail of if they can.
Yeah, absolutely. And I studied at the University of Reading in the UK, so they would release me from work for, maybe a month at a time, and I would go and stay there and work on this thesis full time.
So you were working here in Ireland, but you were getting your PhD over in the UK.
That's right.
And the organization, however, was still accepting and supportive of that.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that they were so supportive, yes.
Again, these are things I think it's important to highlight.
And then I left them. That sounds terrible.
Because we often talk about how organizations should be supporting professional development because it's a help for loyalty, but maybe not in your case.
Well, I stayed there for many years.
Okay.
And I think for students and people that are considering career options, I think it's an important thing to look at, how supportive an organization is for your own personal and professional development. Because I think, the time or the era of people joining an organization and staying for 40 years has passed.
Correct.
So people need to think about the next step.
And organizations need to think about what they're providing to keep those employees committed and staying and engaged and valued.
And in fact, we had an interesting event at the Kerry headquarters in Naas recently, an alumni event. So we have over 500 UCC alumni working in Kerry Group. And we had about 100 of them at an event recently. The Kerry CEO, Edmund Scanlon, who's a commerce graduate from UCC, talked about how difficult it is to retain staff now, but he also talked about how important it was to let people go and get other experience, and some of them come back and they contribute even more when they return to the company.
So let's pick up on
as well.
that is interesting, and it's a commitment to yourselves to grow yourselves, to increase your abilities and your knowledge and your experiences, but also for organizations to know that that investment doesn't go wasted because they could stay longer or they could come back and provide a different role. Back to your own story then, Thia. When you were completing that PhD, where did you go next?
So I remained with Teagasc, which was my employer at the time, and I progressed within the organization. I became the head of economic research in Teagasc before I left to join UCC. So the PhD was an essential requirement really to make that progression. And in 2016, I think it was, UCC advertised for a number of professors in the business school, and I applied at that stage. The business school, as many of you will know, has a department of food business, so that was very closely aligned to my skills and my background. And I joined UCC in the autumn of 2016.
And then from there, you've been now the dean for, is this your second year, is it?
No longer. I became dean in spring of 2017.
Oh, see, so we're going on. Look at that.
Yes,
Time marches on, people. This is a call to get prepared and start planning your future today. It's not too soon. Is there an ongoing recruitment actively from UCC's, from Cubs, to get students interested? I know this conference, for example, is a great opportunity. How do you let students know that you're here?
Absolutely. So that operates at two levels. First of all, at the secondary school level, to encourage people to apply on the CAO. So we run a number of events. Some of those are program specific. So for example, we would have the Bachelor of Commerce Convention or the BIS camps that run throughout the year. Some of it is at a school level. So in 2 weeks' time, we plan to have a TY camp that will showcase all of our business programs, so people who know that they have an interest in business can learn more about the specific programs and understand exactly what they're interested in.
And talk about the elements of business across sectors. We talk about, oh, it's a business degree, it doesn't have an application in medicine, or it doesn't have application necessarily in sports, which we're going to hear about in just coming up next. Dispel the business track sort of myth, if there is one.
Okay, so there's the traditional track. Many of our graduates choose to go into professional services firms and train as accountants or management consultants. That's true, and it's probably considered the traditional track, but that in itself can lead you in many ways or down many different avenues. But I think today we have deliberately selected alumni to showcase the different options that are available to people. You've mentioned sport, we have entrepreneurs, we have food companies. There's just a really broad range, entertainment business. So I think it's important that people can appreciate now that because I'm studying a business degree doesn't necessarily mean that I will go down a particular route. It really is a passport to pursue a number of different careers.
That's a great line. It's a passport to pursue any number of careers. And everything on this planet, really, is a business. If it is designed and needs people to implement either a product or a service, then there must be a business running it and behind it. Is there a project that UCC is active, or Cubs is actively involved in right now, or coming ahead, that you're really passionate about right now?
Well, I suppose one of our most exciting projects at the moment is the development of the new business school building or campus.
That is gorgeous.
So the university acquired a site here in the centre of the city last year, and we're just at the design stage now. In fact, we were reviewing tenders from architects just this week. So we will be moving into the design stage, so that's very exciting. And the theme today is future-proofing your business. So you can imagine the challenge of future-proofing a business school to serve future generations of students. What way will learning look? What type of technology will we need? Will we still have big lecture theatres? So we have to consider all of these things. We're making an investment of over 100 million euros, so it's a really significant investment for the university and for the city. So it's a very exciting project.
It's an exciting project, and it's an exciting time to get active about what's your future going to be, what can it be as connected with Cubs. If there were your recommendations for students sitting out there, largely you're up there, hello, let themselves be heard. How are you up there? Yes. What do you want to know? What is the number one thing you want to know? What's the recommendation that Dr. Thia, Professor Thia, could give you right now? What would you say is the top 3 things a student should be doing? Students who are active in the university right now, students who are thinking about where they might go. First, with the students that are involved in university right now, what are 3 things they should be doing if they're not doing already?
Well,
to future-proof themselves.
Yeah, I think coming to events like this and being aware of the range of opportunities that exist, the types of careers they may pursue, the types of businesses that are hiring, I think all of that is very important.
Increase your exposure.
Yes. Then I think involvement in extracurricular things is important. So I think when we're recruiting ourselves and you're looking at people and they all have the same educational profile, it's something that makes you different and stand out. So whether that's being involved in societies or charities or organising events within the university, I think all of that's really important as well. And then the whole professional development piece, being able to present yourself well, tell a good story, sell yourself well. I think Irish people traditionally maybe aren't the best self-promoters, but we're getting better at it. But I think it's really important in terms of securing that job or performing in the workplace.
I think that's a very important point to draw out for a moment, because as you can hear from my accent, I'm not from Cork, I'm not from Ireland originally, but I've lived here now going on 5 years. And the ability for this, a bit of a generalized idea that maybe you don't put yourselves out, I'm finding that less and less true, because there is a tradition of storytelling already. Now, if you take that tradition of storytelling and you combine it with the story of yourself and how you describe that, that's a winning way to separate yourself from the pack. And to be able to teach that skill alongside all the other great skills that Cubs is doing, I think is a great opportunity. And you have courses and programs that actually touch on some of the business leadership and those models as well, don't you? Yeah,
and we have professional development programs within the program's preparation for placement, getting people out into the workplace. All of our programs give students the opportunity to work in a professional environment for a period, and I think that practical experience and applying those skills is really important as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Professor Thia Hennessy, your Dean of Cubs.
Brilliant.
Excellent.